a society, a system in which people are happy, then we must find out as to what is wrong with our present systems. What is wrong with our present understanding? There must be some missing element, must be something which is erroneous in our understanding, and unless and until we correct it and we have a new system, new knowledge, new philosophy, new paradigm, we cannot have a new world order in which there is happiness, health, harmony, and all these things which we very much cherish, new values, for example. And I think that this is what Baba has given us. When I say new meaning, the word soul is as we use it. We use the word soul, God, self, world, time, space. But now we have new meanings, new definitions, new understandings. And there is new configuration of all these. There are various factors at work in this drama of life, various forces at work. And because of the new configuration, new alignment, and the new light in which we see them, we find that there is a transformation in our life. Knowledge by its very nature should be transformatory. Knowledge is no knowledge if it does not transform ourselves. The very purpose of knowledge is to give us a vision, to give us light, to enlighten us. And what is the fruit of that enlightenment? That it should bring transformation in our outlook, in our attitudes, in our ways, in our behavior. If it doesn't bring that, then either false knowledge is not no knowledge at all. Knowledge is problem solving, it should solve our problems. But we find that the problems have been multiplying as the knowledge has been multiplying in the present world. So this knowledge which we have is not problem solving. We still have problems, though of course oftentimes in new forms. But the problems yet remain. So what Baba has given us is new knowledge for the new world. And what I will be telling you today, this evening, this afternoon, is a new kind of a theory, a new kind of a thesis, a new kind of a practice which Baba has given us so that a new order comes into existence, new world order. I will therefore be giving to you an outline of a new thesis, so to say, of this university. Only an outline could be given with this constraint of time, and I would therefore be giving you the forces at work. This will enable us to check whether we understand them properly and whether there is something missing in our understanding of the total picture. And that is why perhaps our efforts are slack. We are perhaps not making good progress. And as I said, in this outline, I will be laying particular emphasis on attitudes, motives, and relationships. Because what Baba does is, by giving this new knowledge, he changes our outlook, our attitudes, and we form new relationships, meaningful relationships, happy relationships. This is what the world requires at the moment. The relationships are not happy. There is no cooperation, there is no harmony in them. So, the whole process has to be understood, because if you try to understand it in a piecemeal manner, it doesn't make a total picture, a complete picture. And therefore, we do not clearly understand it, because one concept, one factor is concerned with the other. And then they make a holistic picture, a whole picture. So, therefore, I said that it will be an outline of a thesis in which all these things will be given, but just in a passing manner, in a slight reference will be made to all of them. But the main focus will be attitudes, our motives, and our relationships. Because unless and until these change, a new world order is not going to come. And if these are not changing in our own personal case, in our own individual life, then I think we have not properly understood some factor at work. Or if we have understood it, we do not know the technique to apply it in practical life. Sometimes it so happens that you understand things, but you do not know how to apply them to practical situations in your life. So that technique, that methodology of applying this knowledge to particular situations, problems in life is also as essential as the points of knowledge themselves. So I would be making a brief reference to all of them. So when I am saying that I will be giving a brief outline of the thesis, now this is how the thesis develops. I begin it from the very beginning. I started from the very start. The first statement in this thesis is that there is suffering in this world. We start from here. There is, of course, some kind of happiness also. There are pleasures also. But they are transitory, short-lived. And there is much drama, much suffering, much sorrow, much sadness in this world. This is our first observation. Because when you make a thesis, you first observe something and then it leads to certain problems, certain questions. And your thesis is for solving those problems. So now the first observation is that there is sorrow, suffering, trauma, pain, disease, death, misery in this life. I am not being totally negative. As I said, there of course is some happiness, but it is short-lived. Even when a child is born, a baby is born, there is pain. When a person dies, there is pain. There are failures. There is loss. So many sad events take place in life. So this is the first observation. The question therefore arises, is there a cause to it? What is the cause? Because all the scientists, when they observe something, they try to understand the basic laws, the causes at work, which lead to those consequences. So if there is trauma, there is pain, there is death, there is misery, there is loss and so on, is there any cause to it? Because we cannot eradicate the suffering unless and until we eradicate the cause. Therefore, it is necessary first of all to understand the cause. And Baba says, yes, karma is the cause. Karma is the cause. If there is happiness, the cause is karma. If there is sorrow, the cause is karma. The law is, as you do, so shall you reap. The reward or the punishment you get in life is due to your karma, your actions. Without cause, there is no effect. And in this case, we trace the roots of the cause to our karma. What we have done, we are reaping the fruit thereof. So karma is the cause. And this is applied in all our fields of life. A person is given a punishment by a court, by the political power of the state, or by whatever agency the state has. The law enforcing agency, for example, the public prosecutor, the judge in a court of law. The person asks, but what is my crime? What wrong I have done? Why you punish me? It means what is the cause? What is my karma? So even our legal justice, our jurisprudence, our day-to-day action is based on this, that there must be a cause, there is some karma. If I have not done anything wrong, the natural justice is that you cannot punish me. You can punish me only when I have did something which is in violation of the law of the land. Else, I am not punishable. So there are some laws. The karmas have to be done according to those laws. Those laws are called the moral laws, the spiritual laws. And if you violate those laws, if your karmas violate those laws, then you suffer. The suffering, therefore, as well as the happiness, whatever be the form, is due to the karma, good or bad. Therefore, the question comes of good or bad. Good karma is that karma which leads to happiness, health, harmony. And bad karma is that karma which causes pain to others as well as to yourself. If not today, then tomorrow. Maybe a day after. But it must result, the consequences must be sorrow. So that is the difference between good and bad. All is not the same. So karma is the cause. That is the second statement of the thesis. Then the third is, that means there is some error, there is some fault in our karmas. How many are the faults? What can be the error? When you tell any technique to a person, you tell him to take precautions, to take cautions, not to do this, not to do this, not to do this. Otherwise, if you are doing some work in relation to electricity, that if you mishandle it, if you do not take these proper precautions, then you may suffer as a result of this. Similarly, there must be some fault, some error, some mistake, something wrong with our karma. Else, there would not be any pain and suffering in this world. Now, what are those causes? What are those defects, shortcomings, or errors, mistakes, whatever you may like to call them, in regard to our karma? There are 7 major evils. 7 major evils, 7 major defects, 7 major shortcomings, 7 major errors, you can say, which lead to faulty karma, which in turn leads to suffering. What are those 7? Baba said, sex lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, sloth or laziness, and also jealousy. These are the 7 causes. Apart from these 7 causes, there is no reason why should a person suffer. So these are the 7 major evils. These are our 7 major enemies. These are the 7 wrong things which we do, which violate the moral law of action. So now that means we do not understand. There is some lack in understanding. We do not properly understand. Else why should we do wrong things? We commit mistakes when we do not know things properly. Either we have wrong understanding or we have lack of understanding. Or the third factor could be that we do not know how to apply our understanding to situations. So therefore we say either there is lack of spiritual knowledge, which means the knowledge of the law of karma, or if it's not absent, if there is no total ignorance, maybe there is wrong understanding, wrong belief. And the third is that we do not know how to apply them. We are given everything in our spiritual teachings, in our murlis, how to get rid of anger, how to remove hatred from our mind, how to be nice and polite to everyone, how to be sweet, and so on. But when it comes to practical terms, day-to-day life, in our relationship with others, very often again anger comes in our mind, hatred comes in our mind. We know that this is wrong, we must remove it. But how to remove it in that situation, in that hard situation, at that spur of the moment? That practice, that methodology, that technique, that practical understanding, knowledge is lacking. So, the other statement in the thesis says that there is either ignorance, which means lack of understanding, total ignorance or partial ignorance, or there is misunderstanding. You know the thing. For example, some people misuse the drama, repetition. They know that word drama repeats, but they misuse it. They do not properly understand it. Or if some properly understand it, they do not know how to use it when the situation comes, the knowledge about the drama. So these 3 things may be missing. Then the question arises, okay, if these are the 7 evils, which are the main culprits in the drama of life, which cause us sorrow and suffering, how are they born? Where from they come? Have they always been there? Are they natural to be there? Can we get rid of them? Is it possible that we may be totally without them? Now, there are people with different ideas. Some people say there was never a time when these evils were totally absent from this planet Earth. They were already there, always there. They will always be there. So their attitude, their relationships, their motives are different. And Baba says, no, there was a time in this world drama when these negative factors were totally absent. And they can be therefore eliminated, because what was once not can now also in future become not. It can be totally eliminated, exterminated. So this is a new kind of thesis, new kind of understanding, new knowledge, forming a new paradigm which Baba gives us. And the question therefore arises, if they came in this world, how were they born? Like the scientists say, the origin of the earth, the origin of the cosmos, the origin of the species, how all these things, rightly or wrongly, they try to explain the origin of all these things. How these originate. Now Baba has given us all this explanation. How body consciousness leads to all these evils. And how we identify ourselves with the body. In the Gita there is another explanation which Baba has explained it in different words, which also you may find of use to you. It says, we first come in contact with our sense objects. When we take a body, it is natural that we come in contact with the sense objects. We eat, we drink, we meet people, we use consumer goods, so many other things for our comforts, as our daily necessities of life. We use them, and therefore we come in contact with them. So what happens? We begin to think of them. I need this, I need that, that is required, that is essential, that is a must. Then our mind is occupied with the thoughts of those sense objects. And what happens is that once you begin to think of those objects and you begin to have those objects, you use them more or less, then you form some kind of a bondage, a relationship with them. Knowingly or unknowingly, it is happening. Again and again you come in contact with them. By thinking, you establish your first contact with things. Then those contacts become frequent. Then there is a kind of a bondage, a liking, which develops for those objects. You become more and more fond of them. You like them more and more. The degree, the pitch of your liking for them goes on enhancing. It increases as the time passes. And then what happens is this forms attachment to them, dependence on them, a bond with them. And then if someone puts an obstacle, or if you can't get those things, there is some kind of a barrier in that contact, some hurdle comes into the way of your meeting yourself with those objects which you require, then comes anger. You become angry. Any person who puts obstacles in your way, you want something and someone is putting the hurdles, you begin to hate that person. This is how hatred comes. And you hate him. In order to express that hatred, you become angry. So anger comes. One by one they begin to enter. So moha, that attachment came. First of all that contact came. That contact developed the fondness, the bondage, then the liking, then the dependence, then the hatred, the anger. And then what happens is that this attacks your mind. What happens is your consciousness is distorted. Your mind is disturbed. Your balance is lost. You lose your wits. Your creative intelligence is damaged. Your thinking is affected. It's not normal. It becomes changed. There is a shift in your consciousness, in your awareness, in your way of life therefore. And it says with your intelligence, with your understanding, with your buddhi, intellect, having been lost, then you meet your end, sad end. Then this is the punishment. This is how it results. So, this could be one of the explanations. Now then again the question will arise, but it is natural that the soul takes the body in order to play its role in the drama of life. It couldn't be without it. We very much, all of us like not to sit all the time in Paramdham, but to come on the planet Earth, play our role and to be on this beautiful land. And if this is something which naturally happens, then we are helpless. But the thesis, the knowledge, the new knowledge for the new world says, it is not natural. It doesn't always happen. It happens when you miss something, when there is a lack of understanding, how you should handle them. Now what is that? This is exactly what Baba explains at length in murlis from day to day. And this is what we want to put into our practice, so that we do not lose our sattvic intellect, our balance of mind. And we do not violate the moral laws, and therefore we do not suffer. And the reason is the wrong identification. The wrong identification. We do not at that point of time clearly know or remember our own identity or the identity of the goods and objects which we relish, which we use, and all these things. What is this world? What is my body? What are these objects of senses? So on and so forth. Now, knowledge in fact means knowing the proper identities. Who is who? What is what? This is what knowledge is. So, when we forget what is what, who is who, the proper identities, it is then because of the identity crisis that all this drama of life happens, that this sad end comes. And therefore what we are required to do is to avoid this. Baba therefore gives us knowledge, which means he reveals to us the real, the proper identities. Who am I? What is this world? And so on. Now, we find from this that there are totally 11 actors in the drama of life. If we do not understand properly or fully or clearly these 11 actors in the drama of life, then our karma is defective, it is erroneous, it is faulty, and as a result of it, we suffer. Like the physicist, in physics, he tries to study electricity, sound, magnetism, heat, different forms of energy. What is matter, what is an energy, and what are the various forms of energy. And they are now trying to have that unified field theory. So in the universe, from a physicist point of view, the drama of life consists of these forces at work, these various forms of matter and energy. Whether they be in the form of stars, or they may be in the form of planets or other things, or various goods and chattels, whatever comes in our observation. It is, from the physics points of view, different configuration of energy at a different wavelength, appears differently. But basically, he tries to understand that these are the forces at work. This is what physics is about. Similarly, chemistry, that there are number of elements, and each element is made up of atoms and so on and so forth. And then how they chemically act and react, how they form various combinations. Now in chemistry they want to understand that. So also in other branches of knowledge, in other subjects. Now in order to understand spirituality, you must know these 11 factors. Because this is Brahma Kumari's world spiritual university. We are not physicists, but we are metaphysicists. We are spiritualists. And therefore we have to know their configuration, how these forces work in various alignments, in various forms, negative, positive, one influencing the other. And that is why whatever you find wherever, you can explain it in these terms. And in your talks very often you say this, but this man does not have the proper attitude, and this man has the wrong motive, and this person's behavior is not good. This man does not observe the values. This is how we express. So that means these are the forces at work in spirituality. These are the factors. And if we want to make our efforts in a proper way and within the minimum time we want to gain the best of the results, we must understand how to manipulate them, how to use them. This is what a scientist does. He uses various forms of energy in a different way to get different things produced, different articles made, different things created. So also we have to use these to our advantage so that we always feel happy and our karma is not defective and therefore we don't suffer. Now what are these 11? One is the beliefs. Everyone has some beliefs. There is no person who does not have any belief. Then he must be without a brain and must be leading only a vegetative life, not a human life, and maybe in the state of a coma perhaps, or there may be some other disease the person is suffering from, some brain disease, some neurophysiological disease. But every person who is a conscious person, who is awakened and is working properly, usual sort of person, he does have some beliefs, right or wrong, good or bad, more or less in number. But beliefs are always there. And this is one of the important factors. Because when we observe, when we listen, when we study, when we interact, all the time we are forming some beliefs or changing some beliefs, the old beliefs into new. But beliefs there always must remain. Even your dream cannot be without a belief. Even you cannot sleep without a belief. I tell you, the beliefs are so much a part of us. It is the stuff of which perhaps one of the stuffs of which the soul is made. You can't be without a belief. So this is one of the important factors. And therefore Baba, first of all, gives us knowledge to change our beliefs. Because we earlier had wrong beliefs about our identity, about the universe, about other things. We had wrong beliefs. And what Baba is trying to do by giving us new knowledge is changing our wrong beliefs into right ones. And this therefore would make a new paradigm, a new model of beliefs. And presently we are suffering because of our wrong beliefs. Now these beliefs could be about many things. We could make a comprehensive, a long list, but I would just mention at this moment only a few of them. Belief about the self. Who am I? The basic question. What is my belief? Some people saying that I evolved from amoeba to ape to man. Others saying no, I am a self. Others saying like Buddhists or like the lamas, others that the self ultimately extinguishes. A time comes when the self no longer exists. So on and so forth. So the total belief about the self in its entirety, a holistic belief about the self, an illusion. It does not exist. It is Maya. They consider Maya to be something which is illusory, thinking that this world is like a dream. When a person is sleeping, he sees certain things which are not real life things, but which are just made of the stuff of a dream. Similarly, they think that awakening is another state in which what we see is also another kind of a dream, but it is also a dream. So if that is the thing, how do we face our problem in life? How do we lead an active life? Then this would be altogether a different belief system, giving us different values. But in this case, this world very much is there. We are in this world. We can't, like a pigeon, say that the cat is not coming when the cat is coming and takes us by our neck. And we say the cat is not there. It is very much there because we are faced with the problems, the pain, the sorrow, the suffering. And when the very first statement in this thesis I made was that there is suffering, it means the world is there. Without the world being there, how can there be suffering? So, about the universe, then also about the creator, then about the time, and also about the space. These are some of the major things. about which Baba changes our beliefs. Our beliefs have been wrong, or they have been vague, or we didn't know anything about them. There were doubts, there were questions, there was curiosity. We hadn't yet formed a clear understanding of them, which now we have when we get Baba's knowledge. So beliefs is one of the factors at play in this drama of life. The other is the basic motives or interests. Every soul is interested in certain things. And based on those interests are its motives, why it works. And it is those motives which lead it to action. So you can't understand the actions of a person without understanding its motives. And you can't understand its motives without understanding what things the soul is interested in. And enlightened interests are the base, vulgar interest, wrong interest. But interest it does have. Very often you hear people saying, I am interested in this. Would you let me know something about it? I am interested in this. I am interested in purchasing a house. I am interested in this, interested in that. So everyone is interested in something. And that interest leads you to have some motives. You want to achieve those interests, fulfill those interests. And for fulfilling those interests, you have some motives. And maybe wrong or right, good or bad motives. Some people want to be fair enough. Others, even without being fair, without being honest, want to fulfill their interests, even in a bad way. So we say their motives are not good. So the motives, but they are there always. And those interests and motives lead a person to action. So this is another one, that basic motives or interests is the second factor. The third factor is attitudes and outlook. Now your interests, your motives determine your outlook, your attitudes, how you look at things. A person looks at a fish thinking it is an article of food. His motive is to eat. Another person thinks it's a good creature, beautiful, very nice. See how can it swim? It would be good if I could also swim like this, natural to water, like that. So his motive is different. His interest is in swimming, in appreciating the creation, the creativity. So different motives, different interests, different attitudes. And we find that very often there are 3-4 motives which determine a number of motives. Motives could be maybe 108 or 1008 or maybe more than that. But there are basic motives. One, for example, is security. Very often the motive of our actions is security. Security of ourselves, security of our family, security of our nation, security of our community, security against natural calamities, security against a neighboring country, security against an adversary, an opponent, security against the opposite political party in our parliament. Security of many kinds. I am not dilating on them, but security. Determining your actions, how you speak, what is your policy, what you do. Another is self-respect or respect. Not always self-respect, but respect. Everyone wants respect. Even the most ordinary, the most lay wants respect. There cannot be a person who has given up totally the idea of respect. If the soul is, the idea of respect is. You cannot have a soul without having even a pinpoint of respect, an idea of respect in the soul. It does have. Even the most, poor person, the most, you can say the backward person, or in any other area of life, you may say the most lowest sort of person, does have an idea of self-respect or respect. So many of our actions are determined by this motive. Sometimes I may forego money, thinking, but I have respect, I don't want to sell myself. Money is an important motive. I can live if I have money, and that is security of my life is involved. But sometimes I may care more for respect than for even security. And then another motive is happiness, health and happiness. That is security, health. another kind of a security, but happiness of mind. This again is a motive. So the first I said is beliefs, then the basic motives or interests, some of them I have given you. Then attitudes and outlook, this was the third. The fourth is the values. You won't find any person who does not have a set of values in his life, right or wrong. Even though we may criticize always saying that this world has no more values, or that people nowadays have given up all values, but not totally. You would find their values are different. They do have values. Every system, political system, economic system, social system, our family, or every individual does act according to some values. If someone values money and material things, material prosperity, more than anything else, then you will think that all his actions are determined by this motive. Even our motives are determined sometimes by this. That money motive. Because the money is of the maximum value to this person. He can't make sacrifice of money. He wants money, first and foremost. That is the major consideration with this person. So, values. Very often our... Yes? You have seen? I don't know which value, which motive, which belief made you laugh, but it was. Then, the relationships. Those of you who did not have any relationship with this child were sitting tight as before. And the parent who had discovered this child and thought that he or she has some relationship must have moved from the seat and gone out to meet the child. So relationships is another factor, the fifth one. And the sixth is the karmas, the actions. And the seventh is the suffering or the pleasures. Now sufferings or pleasures also determine your motives, your relationship. All these interact with each other. They are not exclusive. Each one of them is not separate. It influences the other. For example, when sometimes we do an act and we suffer, then we change our outlook, change our attitude. We have new values because we find that by having this value, we have been suffering. So, if we get rewarded for something, that becomes a value to us. If we get punishment for something, we have little interest in that. So this suffering or pleasures is also another factor in the drama of life, which we must understand. Because sometimes it so happens, even a hardcore spiritualist, let me say, put it like this, would say, I have been doing right actions, I have been acting on Shrimat, I have been a yogi, I am following all maryadas. But why is it that I am having this kind of behavior? Why I am having this kind of treatment? Why I am not having the other kind of a response from my sisters and brothers? So that means the response from others makes him feel in the mind either happy or not happy. And this makes him think whether the values, the relationships which he has been having, the attitudes which he has built up are right or wrong. So they interact, all of them. So this therefore is another factor. Then time and space. Everything is in time and space. Therefore Baba gives us this concept of three worlds, which no one else has given before. Very clear understanding of the three worlds. How there is relationship. Why the number of souls in this world is increasing. As the tree of world, the kalpa tree is growing. Where from these souls are coming if they are immortal and eternal? And if destruction takes place, where to they will return? Which is the original country from where we have all come? Do we belong to one nationality, geographical boundary, or there is an overriding factor which will emancipate us from this narrow-mindedness, narrow nationality, nationalistic, hard, regimented ideas, and give us freedom from this kind of a trap and think with a broad vision. So Baba has given us this. And also the time, whether we can If we don't attain salvation, mukti, jivan mukti in this very life, maybe why not try in the next life or in the life after next? There is limitless time. But when we have a concept of the cycle, its duration, the repetitive nature of time, the cyclic nature of time, and its various stages, golden, silver, copper, and iron, and how the transition takes place, then altogether we want to establish good relationships. We say we want to have unity, love each other, so on and so forth, because the golden age is going to come and so on. So this space and time is an important factor. So not only this time and space, but also the cause and effect. That there is cause to every effect. So that whenever there is suffering in our life, in spite of our being upright persons, in spite of our being saintly persons, ourselves being good yogis, if there is something which is painful in our life, that people are criticizing us without any basis, that some people are treating us as they should not, they have been tormenting us, trying to give us pain, or there are some calamities of nature which make us suffer, or there are certain other things. Baba tells us this is your karmic account. There is a cause, and that cause is your past karmic account. Without understanding this factor of cause in the form of karmic account, you would feel perhaps that it's no use following spirituality, because in spite of being a good person, you are still having some kind of a suffering. What is the use? But wait, because there is a cause. You have done something wrong in your life, and there have been a number of lives, and you have accumulated your karmic account, and you must therefore suffer. Else, how can there be justice? On the one hand, you say that there should be justice, and when it comes to your own particular individual case, when you suffer because of your wrongdoings, you say why it is happening. You must rationalize the whole thing. So therefore, there is a cause. Whenever there is an effect, you must understand there is a cause. But you would run to Dadis and say, Dadiji, why it is happening in my life? I am a good person, following Baba's Shrimad, following all these principles. I don't eat anything from the outside, so on and so forth. Dadiji, why is all this happening? Dadiji will tell you, this is your past karmic account. What can I do? This is your past karmic account. Even Brahma Baba had to suffer. Jagadamba Saraswati had to suffer. Many yogis had to suffer. Every one of us, let us not forget, has to suffer. Because of our wrong past misdeeds, we must face all of them, whether in a happy frame of mind or groaning under the heels of those sufferings. It depends. But we must. This is the justice. Baba does not spare anyone. He says, I will help you. I will give you some kind of a relief. Some way I will give you. But you have to practice. You have to face. Because this is the problem created by you. I can't be partial to you. All are my children. I am just. That is what they say. So, cause and effect, you must understand in the spiritual aspect, in its spiritual perspective, how the cause and effect is taking place. You are very nice to somebody, but again and again, over a period of time, that person is not nice to you. You are not able to make any breakthrough. You say this is happening since the last so many years. I have good wish and goodwill towards this person. I spend my yogic vibrations also to this person. But this person does not change. He is not nice to me, he has jealousy with me, always criticizes me, backbites me, and so on and so forth. Why he does this? There is a cause in the form of goodwill. You are doing good action. Okay, you are sending vibrations. Make more strong vibrations of yoga. Alright, you do even that. But still there is no breakthrough. There is no change. Because it will take time. Therefore, the concept of time, vis-a-vis the concept of cause and effect, every action takes some time. When you grow wheat, it takes a particular period to grow into a crop. When you sow mangoes, it takes a different period to grow into the form of mangoes. When you grow certain vegetables, they take their own time. Every action has its own period of taking the shape of the fruit. You can't say that it should happen tomorrow. You just grow a tree of mangoes in Panda Bhavan today and you expect mangoes tomorrow before leaving Madhuban. It can't happen. Maybe if you sow today, then some other people at some other point of time may savor it. If not you, don't bother about it. Do some good act. So actions do take some time. Cause and effect, the factors are there, but they have to be interpreted in the framework of time. Then this repetition of birth and death, this also has to be understood. If you don't understand reincarnation, you can't understand spirituality at all. It will be very vague, it will not be clear. You can't understand, you form your ideas, attitudes, values and other things. All these factors will be meaningless unless and until you take them in the form of reincarnation. And some people, instead of reincarnation in the human species, they think that the human soul transmigrates into other species. So they believe in reincarnation, but they think that this person will become a snake or a scorpion, and they are afraid of this karmic theory and therefore there is resistance. How can I become that, But a human being incarnates into a human form is the theory, is what Baba says. And then it can be a meaningful thing. So a new meaning has to be understood in everything. So I have given you 10 factors and it's 7 o'clock. I must give you the last factor. And yet only perhaps a little less than half of the thesis is over. And that also in outline. The 11th factor is senses and sense objects. What is the importance of senses and sense objects? Their proper nature, their proper utility, their proper use, and so on. These 11 are the factors in the drama of life, and we may discuss it some other time if time permits. Om Shanti.